So if it wasn't for the Stanford Native American.
Sorry, that was me. I
Oh,
forgot to hit record, but just so
no.
everyone knows, we're recording now.
So here I was at Stanford, and I remember just being often demoralized. My first paper I wrote, I earned a D on it. And this is when I went to high school and I received the writing award for best writing in high school. So I just was like, what am I doing here? But I stuck with it, and I majored in human biology, and I just had the discipline to just keep showing up every day and asking for help. We had a writing tutor at the Native American Cultural Center, and she helped me a lot. So if it wasn't for people that I had asked for assistance from, I don't think I would have been able to make it on my own. And this was recently somewhat at my 15-year college reunion. So at the very far left is my best friend Willow. She's also Native American, and we met at college our freshman year. And there's a few other people from the center there, and me holding my son, who was not happy to take a photo. But if it wasn't for this center, I don't know where I would be today. So I really appreciate the center for helping me during my time. And although at the end of at the beginning of my junior and all throughout my senior year, I kind of figured things out. I was doing really well in school, but because of how hard and how poorly I performed my freshman year, I still had not met my requirements. My dream was to apply to medical school. As the oldest of 7 kids, I wanted to become a physician because I'd gone with my mom to so many of her prenatal appointments, and I was really interested in medicine. I knew probably from 6th grade that I wanted to be some sort of doctor. But when it was time to graduate Stanford, I wasn't ready yet because, and if there's any high school people out there, it was because I had done so poorly in the hard sciences like chemistry and physics and organic chemistry. And I didn't think I was ready. So I knew I had to do something, and I knew I needed to get a job. So I ended up working for the Johns Hopkins Center for American Indian Health. And this was in Baltimore, Maryland. And it was a dramatic change from the West Coast. But it was here that I was working with public health professionals, and I really began to appreciate the philosophy of determining the causes of disease and focusing on prevention. And it was during my time here that I made connections with the Indian Health Service, the National Institutes of Health, and the Centers for Disease Control, and also traditional medicine people like Rose's husband, Steve. And it was at this time that I had wonderful mentors, and I received a scholarship to earn my master's in health science. And it was here in Baltimore that I did a very challenging master's so I could prove that I could get good grades in difficult science courses. And so this boosted my science GPA so that I could apply to medical school. And so I was all set. I was getting ready to take the MCAT. Things were going good. But it was here at Johns Hopkins where there was a presentation from someone from Indian Health Service, and they showed how our people suffer the most in this country from oral health diseases. And at that point, I didn't even know that dentists were doctors, and that the role that oral health plays into the health of our overall bodies. So what are the oral health disparities? Um, so these were some of the facts that I was shown that inspired me to pursue a career as a dentist. So we know that Native American people, we suffer disproportionately from untreated dental disease. Caries, that's cavities. So we have twice the number of cavities as the general US population, and more than any other racial ethnic group. And we also have more missing teeth. Growing up on the reservation, I think I was desensitized to it. If we look at our elders, if we look at our family members, many of them are missing teeth, and that's just how it is, and they've come to accept it. So we have 83% of our Native adult people who have lost at least one permanent tooth, compared to 66% of the general US population of the same age. And I was lucky to be part of this study with CareQuest. So this is a new paper. It's just getting published this month, but it found that more than half of Native adults report being denied healthcare or oral healthcare at some point because they've been discriminated against. This is compared to 40% of non-Native people. So there's a whole social justice aspect to why there are oral health disparities in our community. And who can address these oral health disparities? I felt as a Native person, there was no one better qualified than me as a Native person to treat my people. But there is a decline in Native Americans applying to dental school. In 2021, there were only 8 Native American applicants. And this is unacceptable in my opinion. And ultimately, it reduces the likelihood that Native people will be able to receive care from Native dentists. So if you are out there, if you're in high school, college, and you're not sure what you want to do, but you love the sciences, dentistry is a great field, and you are so needed. We need you. So when I was switching my application from medical school to dental school, I had reservations. I was wondering, are teeth even that important? And are dentists even doctors? I thought they were just technicians. Well, teeth are very important. The mouth is the mirror of your overall health. And it's really common for people to think of the mouth as separate from your body because dental insurance is separate from medical insurance. However, there's so many ramifications of poor oral health. The mouth is the entryway for infection, and having poor oral health can result in cardiovascular disease. It can make diabetes worse. It can make HIV infection worse. Pregnant mothers who have poor oral health, their babies can suffer as consequences of having bacteria in the bloodstream. And if you're a scientist, there's a lot of things that I think are exciting in the future with saliva diagnostics. So it's not just pulling teeth and doing fillings, but there is a lot of research that can be done in the field of oral health. And I won't spend too much time here, but this is just a poster just to try to get the word out to patients that something that sounds not too bad, gum disease, it can actually be very bad on the organs in your body and can cause a lot of problems. So is dentistry important? So looking at this, even though this man here is missing an eyebrow, you probably just noticed that his tooth is missing. And it is unfortunate in my practice in Mescalero, many people, they don't even bother to come in until something happens to their front tooth. And I myself, growing up on the reservation, I thought the dentist was only someone that you would come in to see if you had a toothache. So I didn't know that there was such a thing as going to the dentist on a regular basis. And here, why are there disparities within our communities? You are probably familiar that the access that Native Americans just have to healthcare in general is very difficult because of geographic isolation. I lived on the Navajo Nation in Fort Defiance for 7 years, and we had days when it was rainy, and because many of the roads aren't paved, people just couldn't get into the clinic because the mud was so terrible. So it was just hard to get regular care. And then as we're finding out, or not as we're finding out, I think we already knew that discrimination was an issue, but as we're beginning to measure more, we're seeing the impact that discrimination and socioeconomic instability has on Native people getting oral health care. And we could have a ton of dentists. I know there are more and more dental schools being built every year, but once those dentists graduate, we need to be able to attract them to serve our people in our communities on the reservation. So when I was first learning about dentistry, as I said, I was worried that dentists were not doctors and that if I switched my application to dental school, I had this silly fear that people would think that I was not smart enough to get into medical school, so I had to turn to dental school. And that is totally not true. Dentists are doctors, and the requirements to get into dental school and medical school are fairly equivalent. And the foundation of education for the first 2 years is the same. At many schools, dental and medical students take their classes together for the first 1 to 2 years. So we're like specialists of the oral mouth. And who are the current native dentists? And this is amazing. I met Dr. George Blue Spruce, who is the first Native American dentist, and he's the founder of the Society of American Indian Dentists. And he was speaking at Sandia and at the American Indian Graduate Center convention. And I thought, wow, that's so interesting, you know, to hear a dentist speak, that our very first native dentist is here speaking to me. And randomly the next day, he sat by me at lunch, and this was just an amazing moment. So I struck up a conversation with him, how I was interested in medicine, but I found his presentation fascinating. And he offered me the opportunity to apply to a scholarship that he was hosting to visit the Arizona School of Dentistry and Oral Health. And based on my application, I got that scholarship and I was able to visit his school in Arizona. And that night, after visiting the school, I wrote my entrance essay into dental school. And, you know, when there had been so many challenges I've faced in the past with trying to take coursework and get into medical school, everything just all of a sudden felt easy. Like doors were opening up for me to get into dental school. And, you know, I felt that I was doing something that was very important. We need native dentists because there must be a significant increase in the number of native providers or just dental providers in general to provide care for our people. So the general US population, there's one dentist for about 1,500 patients, where in native communities, there's only one dentist for 2,800 patients. And these are for dentists employed by IHS and tribal clinics. So you can see there's a huge disparity. And I can attest to that based on my work in Mescalero. Like we see a steady stream of patients. There's never a quiet moment in the dental clinic. We are always busy. And even if we do bring more dentists to the community, we still, if we want to improve racial concordance, so if you want to be a native person being treated by a native provider, we're going to really need to increase the number of Native American dentists. Because right now, for every native dentist, we have 35,000 American Indian patients. And, you know, we need to improve those numbers. Let's see. And more recent research in 2017, we would need to increase our number by 7.4-fold to meet population parity. So supposedly there's 442 native dentists right now, but we need to get to be about 3,200 so that we can have parity. So after Johns Hopkins, I moved to Albuquerque and I continued to work in one of their satellite offices while I applied for dental school. And I knew I needed to find a mentor and do some shadowing. And so it was in Albuquerque that I met Dr. Darlene Sorrell, and she's the first Navajo dentist. And she has been so amazing and so kind to me. I sent her an email, she didn't know me from anybody. And I introduced myself and I'd asked her if I could shadow her. And she immediately responded, and she basically welcomed me with open arms. And because of her example, I feel compelled to do the same for anyone else who would reach out to me and who would want to learn more from me to find out if dentistry is the career for them. And I continue to be mentored by Dr. Sorrell as she pushed me to be a board member of the Society of American Indian Dentists. And she's really played a huge role in my career and in my life. So I wanted to go back to the Bay Area, and I was very happy to get into the University of the Pacific. And this is in San Francisco. And you see, we start learning dentistry on plastic mannequins before we start working on each other. Dental school is very challenging, and I think it's difficult because of the financial commitment. Some students are graduating The average is to graduate with $200,000 worth of student debt, and it can be upwards of $500,000. And I know that is a lot to undertake. And I had minimal debt because I did apply and receive the Indian Health Service Scholarship. And there are other options. There's the Public Health Service Corps, and there's the military, and there's student loans. And my advice would be, if you decide to do student loans, just try not to live large on your student loans because the payback is very challenging. So dentistry is a profession. It continues to be one of the top jobs, according to US News. It was #1 a few years back, but now we're down to #10. And I agree. I think it's a great job because I love working with my hands and I enjoy the art and science of dentistry. I've always been interested in my own smile. And whenever I meet people, I do look at their teeth. And being a clinician, I have very medically complex patients, and I like working with physicians as we treatment plan our patients and try to make things safe for them. And I also work with pregnant patients and children and elderly. So don't just think of dentistry as just teeth. Think of dentistry as oral medicine. And the lifestyle of a dentist, it can't be beat. Like, it is a lot of education and a commitment to get into this profession. But once you are into this profession, it's definitely worth it. And here's just some more information on why it's the 10th best job in the US. Like, the salary is very good, and their employment growth is predicted. So this is a career that, people will always need help with their teeth. Like, when COVID was happening and dentistry as a profession was shut down for a few weeks, it was evident that dentists are so important, as people suffered from oral health pain. And when I was in dental school, I had the opportunity to have many adventures, not just in the Bay Area, but we went to Peru on a dental mission. And I got to live out one of my dreams. I went to see Machu Picchu. We went for, I think it was a couple of weeks to Peru. But part of that is we did a dental mission, and we saw children and adults, and seeing the indigenous people of Peru reminded me of treating my own home community members. And this little girl, she was so brave and strong. She had so many teeth that were just not savable, and she held still for us and allowed us to take care of her oral health concerns. So this was definitely a life-changing moment for me. I felt very fortunate because dental school was extremely challenging for me, and I felt very blessed to become the first Mescalero Apache dentist. And I made sure that I wore an eagle feather during my graduation to symbolize that. I think what was really hard for me there, even though I had been to Stanford and Johns Hopkins, it was a whole other level of just education and being around different people. In dental school, many of my classmates, they came from generations of dentists, so they kind of knew what they were doing. And again, it was this sense of like, I don't know if I belong here because there's no one like me. But again, I just continue to persevere and try not to give up. And it was worth it. And this was my first job in Fort Defiance at Sahotsa Medical Center. And I love this picture because it shows me and the other Native providers that were at the hospital at that time with our CEO. And it was just wonderful to, even though this wasn't my tribe, treating other Native people who were very similar to my community was very rewarding. And this is where I also had, because I had received the Indian Health Service Scholarship, this is where I did my payback. And then these are two women that I've known since undergrad. And let's see, so they are a pediatrician and a family doctor right now. So it's so amazing because we all met as student members of the Association of American Indian Physicians. And so it was just fantastic to work with these two people. And I hope that other Native people will have similar experiences as they go on in their education and careers. And dentistry is pretty fun, like get to do smile transformations. This is my cousin, and she had severely crowded teeth, and when she got her braces off, she had a lot of cavities, and it was a lot of work. So we did a smile transformation on her where I basically worked on every tooth on her upper arch of her mouth. And so she could smile with confidence. It might be a little bit small, but the bottom right picture is her final product. And I just think she looks amazing, like a model now. And that's a little bit better. So the top right picture, those are the temporaries. So those aren't the final crowns. And then the bottom is immediately when she's still in the chair. I took a picture. Let me take a picture of you. And then the bottom right is after she got up. So it was amazing. And she became pregnant not long after that, and she just had this amazing pregnancy photo shoot, and she was able to smile with confidence when before she wouldn't smile and show her teeth at the same time. And then this is my other favorite patient. This is my mom. So we basically worked on every single tooth in her mouth. And so just being able to give back to my own family member has been very special to my my birth giver. And here I am now in Mescalero. I'm the dental director of the Mescalero service unit. And this has been challenging in its own because I'm the only dentist there. I only have one chair. So at times it's very frustrating because I feel like I can't do more. We are serving the needs of Native American people that live within a 500-mile radius. So I have patients from different tribes in the surrounding area come visit me. I love my employees and all the work that we do together. I just wish we weren't limited by space and that I could hire more people so that we could reach more people. And then again, coming full circle. So I had met Dr. Blue Spruce, and that was a life-changing event that pushed me to become a dentist. And then I became the president of the organization that he founded. So this was us last year at Isleto Pueblo at our SED conference. And there he is, he's just amazing and smiles, and he's I believe he's in his 90s, but you wouldn't know it. He is just so full of life, and he is just so with it, and he can talk and tell you about everything. So this is really a highlight of my life. And it's just been nice being recognized by my community. Like I've got asked to be on the cover of this magazine, and that was really fun. So I enjoyed that. And all because I hope to inspire other people, because I don't want to be the only Mescalero Apache dentist. I hope we can have more Native dentists, and it'll just be wonderful in my lifetime if there is another Mescalero Apache dentist. And this is the Inn of the Mountain Gods. It's our tribe's resort and casino. And I think it's incredible that our community has come together to build such a beautiful place. And one day I hope to collaborate with my tribe to create a tribally operated community dental clinic. That would be my life's work if we could ever do that together. So I think there is hope for that in the future, but it's going to be a very challenging road to do that. So, how do you become successful? What's the definition of success? And really, people think it looks straight and easy, but when you see success, you don't see all the challenges and the ups and downs. And I feel like I had a lot of those. And I shared briefly about, my challenges at Stanford and, not being prepared to get into dental school right away. And in dental school, it wasn't easy. That wasn't the end of the road. I still had a lot of work to do. And so for any of you who are embarking on a mission to reach your life's work, just remember that failure is part of the process. So if you fall 7 times, make sure you stand up 8. And this part is really geared toward the high school and college students, but when you're going through this process, make sure you ask for help and say thank you. just try to make connections with people. They might be your future mentors, like Dr. Blue Spruce and Dr. Sorrell were for me. And people do want to help you. So if you establish and kind of feed those relationships, eventually you'll have people who will want to write you letters of recommendation and serve as your personal references. Those are necessary for this type of career. And then you want to show gratitude whenever you can. So make sure you always follow up personal success with a thank you card, or letting people in your life who care about you, let them know how you're doing. And then don't just stop and sit on your laurels. Make sure you continue to say yes to good opportunities. And showing up is half the battle. And this was geared towards the Mescalero students. I wanted to let them know it's okay to leave your reservation for your education. It was very hard at times for me. I remember not being able to go home for Thanksgiving my first year of college and just crying that I couldn't go home. But there is a bigger purpose, and just know that the work will still be here and that your people, they need you. And I strongly encourage people to stay in school and not to stop out. There was many times at Stanford that I just wanted to stop out and have a break. But I don't think it would have been worth it to do that, because it creates such difficulties with financial aid. And personally, it wasn't the answer, but it might be for someone who's going through a legitimately difficult thing like family trauma. But as much as you can, try to stay in school. And then you want to stay up to date. You want to have just documenting all the different things that you do, the papers that you write, the jobs that you've had, so that you have a living curriculum vitae. And I save everything. So it makes it easier whenever you're asked to do a presentation, or if you're asked to submit an essay or an application for something. It's always scary to start with a blank page. So I like pulling pieces from other work that I've done or contributed to. And then just make sure, there's a lot of different things out there, and sometimes it feels like you don't know what to do. And you really need to just look inside and follow your gut instinct. And if you're always being distracted by outside influences like social media, or if you're just always too busy and you're not spending enough time with yourself to really think, then you're not going to be able to find out what your own true North Star is. So I do encourage you to focus on yourself, and your energy will go up, and you will find what you are meant to do when you really set your intentions and you reflect. And for me, like asking for guidance from your creator, the higher power that you believe in. And so this is, what I do is I try to take time to reflect and set my intentions. I think there's strong power in setting your intentions, because it will change your behavior over time. I journal frequently. I have my own, diaries. And when I felt like I would never become a doctor, I finally wrote down in my diary, I will be a doctor by the time I am 30. And I chose to believe that, and it happened, because, I set my intentions to work towards that. And I know sometimes being from small communities, it seems very scary, like, oh, am I good enough to do this kind of thing? Like, I don't know. But I encourage you to take risks to expand your knowledge, and just remain curious about how great you can become and how much you can give back to your community. Just know that there's a life outside of yourself. And if you can go and get this education, and you can come back and serve your community or do whatever you want, if you don't try, you'll never know. And a part of this is also living without fear. Like, I don't know how I did it as a 17, 18-year-old, leaving Mescalero and going to Stanford. I guess I was pretty brave at that time, but I think if you're brave and you just trust in your heart that the creator or God will take care of you, if you are set on reaching your fullest potential, you will be taken care of. And on the journey, just expect the unexpected. I was very career minded, and being the oldest of 7, I wasn't even sure if I wanted kids or even if I liked kids. But I was so fortunate and lucky that I was able to have a child of my own. And this is my son, Freddie, and he is the most unexpected and beautiful blessing of my life. And it just goes without saying to be grateful for everything that's happened. So I'm extremely grateful. And to remain joyful and positive and happy. I'm not talking about toxic positivity, because sometimes it's like, oh, just get over it, be happy. No, there is times where we need to address that we are sad or things are difficult and challenging, but through gratitude, we can truly reach joy. And these elk, they just hang out like by our house all the time. So thank you for listening to my presentation. I was so happy to be selected to speak to you all for Women's History Month. And I encourage you to reach out to me. My email is here. If you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. Are there any questions?
Doctor, I don't necessarily have a question, and I'm kind of in a hurry because I have to go to another presentation, but I just wanted to let you know how inspiring this talk truly is. Yeah, that's just amazing, and how far you've come. I appreciate hearing the story. My own daughters did something very similar to you. We came from a reservation in northern Michigan, kind of on and off. And they made a big leap, went to school in California too, and went into schools that were probably well over their head. You know, they didn't really realize what they were getting into, but persevered, just like you. Didn't make it home for Thanksgiving, cried, just like you know. And I remember just kind of guiding them through that experience, but over the phone. And it is hard, but you do grow. And I'm so proud of you. That's just beautiful. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much, Julie. I really appreciate that. And I see there's a question too, is how did your family parents support you? And I have to say, I may get a little emotional here. Even though we grew up on the reservation, my parents are very stable. You know, we always had the same place to go home to every night. My mom always cooked dinner for us every night. And you know, they didn't drink, they didn't smoke, they don't even cuss. And I know that that's not the same for a lot of people growing up on the reservation. Like a lot of my friends, they've had very traumatic life experiences. So I think just having that foundation of stability, they did that to support me. And they did also put a lot of responsibility on me and my brother, who's next in line after me. Like we were pretty much the co-parents raising the rest of our siblings. So I think just having that level of responsibility pushed us to be successful in our lives. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Are there any other questions?
I just wanted to also thank you for your presentation. I just get so excited when I hear a story from someone who comes from the res and goes beyond the reef and tackles the waves and all the little things. But I know that it must have been quite an experience, and also there were some times when it was really tough, but it's wonderful to hear your story, and I want to thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Brenda. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Frizzell. My name is Priscilla. I come from the Navajo Nation. Just exactly a year ago, we drove through Mescalero, New Mexico. It was a road trip that we had. We went to Texas. So that was on our way. And I remember stopping at the casino there. So beautiful. We had lunch there. And I just remember thinking, this is like a hidden gem. So your photos at the beginning reminded me of that. I was like, I know that place. But thank you very much for a very successful story. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much, Priscilla. I'm glad you got to see my home and enjoy it.
Hi, Felicia. Sorry, I have like
Hi.
multiple monitors going on here because my desktop froze on me. So it's so great to see you, and it's always great to hear your story. You were royalty at one point, weren't you? I remember that
Um,
was like a fascinating tidbit that I learned.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Like in high school and yeah, but thank you. But I remember you from Stanford and driving. So even though we were at Stanford, Tamara had a pickup truck and we got in trouble because we were sitting in the back of her pickup truck and she was driving us around. I think the police pulled us over because we were used to the res, but so much fun. It's so good to see you. Okay. Well, are there any other questions?
I don't see any other questions, but there are a lot of thank yous and gave some really some good insights to stats. Just remembering some of the times that people have gone through or near your homeland over there. So I'm sure you can read those. But what I wanted to just say is I want to recognize one of our city council members, city council member Cara House, and just let her know and just thank her for being here with us. She's also on the county side. She's on the Coconino County Diaspora Advisory Council for our supervisors. So I'm glad she's here. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who showed up. A lot of names that I haven't seen in a while, but also just some relatives that I haven't seen. And even we live in the same town, but we sometimes don't see each other. I'm so thankful that you're here with us. And I just want to say that, you know, just coming from our place here, our sacred mountain here, thank you for being with us, Felicia. And I hope that, you know, the strength of our mountain here also travels through the connections we have, and continue to bless who you are, and helping all our relatives, you know, and for serving on the Navajo Nation as well. You had so much for everything. And I'll leave the few minutes to if there's anybody else who wants to say anything, I'll leave that, and I'll just stop here for myself. Yeah.
Thank you, Rose. Again, I really appreciate this opportunity. It was very fun, and just anything I can do to help inspire by sharing my story so that we can continue to better serve our people. And I'm very sincere. If you want to reach out to me by email, I will definitely respond to you. And if you want to, you can also get in touch with Rose to get in touch with me. I welcome that.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much. And some of the stats that you had put up are just a little heartbreaking and bittersweet, you know, to know that, like, I appreciated your experience of talking about, like, culturally, like, yeah, we just expect old people to have like no teeth when you shouldn't, you know, like, it's just one of those things where I really appreciate you talking about oral health as like the window into health, because people don't think about it like that. It's like, oh, it's my teeth, there's nothing wrong with them, I'm taking care of them, but are we really, you know, like, it's hard to see. Something I like to remind myself is that that's the part of my skeleton that I can touch.
Good one.
So it's like, you know, like, taking care of it is hard, but at the same time, I think the work that you do really helps our community, particularly, you know, engage in that in a different way. And I just appreciate the work that you've done, and even just having you talk to us has just really even just inspired me. And I'm not even a dentist, but
Oh,
just
thank
like,
you.
you know, being the first native to do something like that in your reservation is really huge. And so I just appreciate that, and really enjoyed your story. And I'm a Disney person, so thanks for putting Moana up.
Yeah, she's the best.
But yeah, and thank you to Rose for helping us get Felicia here. And I think we had a really good turnout. I'm counting like over 20 people here, so that was really, really nice.
Well, thank you. It was so nice to meet you.
I guess we can wrap up now, huh, Irina?
Yeah, unless anyone has any other questions, but if people wanted to reach out, like Felicia said, she's really open to that. And like she said, if you needed to talk to Rose to get to her, that's fine too. Or even if you want to shout out to me, that's fine. I'll make it work. I wrote down your email and stuff. But yeah, I just appreciate you being here and talking to us, because I don't know. It's just nice to remember that like women do so many amazing things, but specifically like I'm Navajo, and so it's like seeing another native face like in the chair at the dentist would be different. It would.
Mhm. It's very fulfilling being able to, you know, be that native person and people feel safe and comfortable
Mhm.
having that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm good if everyone else is good, and just thank you again for being here. And
Of course.
I have recorded this, so I will put it somewhere for us to share, if that's okay with you. But other than that, I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time, maybe. Probably.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.